Hi friends, welcome to Cyber Pathshala. This video is an extension for previous session variables and data types. So as this video is already lengthy, I am not putting any other sections in this video. Let us write two sample programs here. The first one is sample program for different types of variables like local, instance and class variables, and the second one is sample program for different data types along with the casting. Here I am opening a new notepad to write my first program. Window or notepad. So I'm defining a class here, class. I'm defining my class name as scope of variables. So this is my class name. I'm opening my class and I'm closing my class. So inside that I'm defining one method, public void sum. So far we haven't created any methods inside a class, so except the main method. So here I'm creating a new method called sum, and this sum method is expecting two arguments, int a comma int b. So these are the two arguments sum method is expecting, and I'm opening my main method and I'm closing my main method. So inside that I'm adding these two variables a and b and assigning that to variable c. So for that I'm declaring a new variable called c, int c equals to 0. I'm assigning with 0. So now I'm assigning c equals to a plus b. So first the addition of the two variables a and b will be performed, and then whatever the value that we get, that will be assigned to the variable c. So now let us print the variable c here. System dot out dot println of c. So our class is ready now. So now we need to write the main method. So for writing a main method, I am not writing under the same class. I am creating a new class. So inside that I am writing my main method. So I am defining one more class. So we learned that we can define any number of classes in the same Java file. So I am writing one more class here, class main variable. So this is my main class. So inside that I am opening my class and I am closing my class. Inside that I am defining my main method. Public static void main string args. So this is my main method. I'm opening my main method and I'm closing my main method. So inside that now we need to call the method sum from scope of variables class. So now the question is how we can call the method sum inside the scope of variables class. So to call any instance variables or any instance method, first we need to create an instance for that class. So how we can create an instance for that class? So the syntax for creating an instance for any class is, so the class name, so here the class name is scope of variables. This is my class name, and I'm giving a reference here sv equals to, I'm using a new keyword for creating an instance, and then I'm giving this same class name here again, scope of variables. So this is my class name, and I'm opening my brace and I'm closing my brace, and I'm putting a semicolon here to finish the statement. So now I was able to create an instance for the class scope of variables. So now the question is how we can call the method sum. So to call any instance variable or any instance method, we must use an instance to call them. So now I'm using my instance whatever I created in earlier step, and I'm just calling the method sum, sv.sum, and this method sum is expecting two arguments, int a comma int b, and now we need to pass those values from here. So here I'm passing two values, 10 comma 20. So here I'm passing two values 10 comma 20 to the method sum, and I'm putting my semicolon. So now our program is ready. Let us save this file. I'm saving this under Java programs with the name of testing scope. So I'm just saving with the .java extension under all files type. I'm just saving this. So now my Java program is ready. Let us try to compile this. So I'm opening a command prompt here. I'm switching to D drive. So let me go to my folder. So under Java programs I have my testing scope.java file. So now we need to compile this javac testing scope.java. I'm just compiling it. So now the compilation is successful. So now let us go there and see what are the files we can see there. So if you see here, I sorted it under date modified. So if you see here, I can see two new classes, main variables.class and the scope of variables.class. So there are two classes got created. If you see here, this is my scope of variables class, which is one class, and main variables class is another class. So now we need to run the class. So now the question is, which class we need to run? Do we need to run the scope of variables.class or main variables.class? So we learned that the program execution will always start from the main method, right? So now let us try to run the main variables.class first, and then we'll run the scope of variables.class also, and we'll see what happens. So let us go and run the main variables.class, java space main variables. We need not to give the extension. I'm just pressing enter. So and it printed me value 30. So what happens is, when you run this program, so the value 10 and 20 will be passed to the method sum, and it will be assigned to the variables a and b respectively. So now we'll be having the value 10 under a and the value 20 under b, and after adding these values 10 and 20, the sum whatever we got 30, that will be assigned to the variable c. So and we are just printing that. So now let us see what happens when we run the other class in which we don't have a main method. Java space and the class name, scope of variables. So this is my other class name. So, and if you just press enter, it is saying main method not found in class scope of variables, and it is throwing an error because so it is not able to identify from where the program execution should start. So we can understand that, so we cannot call any classes which doesn't have a main method directly. Here a, b and c are called as local variables for method sum. A, b, c are called as local variables for method sum. So in Java we can write a single line comments like this. So these comments won't get executed. These are just for a developer or a programmer understanding. So now let us see how we can create an instance variable. So we learned that the instance variable needs to be created inside a class but outside a method. So here we have a method, so and here we have a class. So now we need to create a variable inside a class. So here I'm creating a new variable called int x equals to 0, and also I'm creating one more variable int y equals to 0. So these are the two variables I created inside a class but outside the method sum. So we call these x and y as instance variables. So I'm writing a comment here, x and y are instance variables. Now let us see how we can access or assign values to these variables. So here I am defining one more method inside scope of variables class, public void mul. So this is my multiplication method. I am opening my method and I am closing my method. So and this method is not expecting any arguments. So here I am writing, here I am declaring one more variable int z equals to 0. I'm just initializing with a 0 value, and I'm also saying that z equals to x into y. So these x and y are declared inside the class but not inside the method, but I'm using them directly here, z equals to x into y. So this is the method. So whatever the multiplication I got for x and y, I'm just assigning it to z, and also I'm just printing that value here, system dot out dot print ln. I'm just printing that value z here. So now our new method multiplication is ready. So now we need to call the method, and before that we need to assign the values to the instance variable. So I'm not calling this sum method here, I'm just putting it comment here. So now we need to assign the values to those variables, instance variables, with the instance. So how we can assign the values? Sv dot x. So x is an instance variable. Sv dot x equals to 5, and also I'm saying sv dot y equals to 10. So here I assigned two values 5 and 10 to instance variable x and y. So now we need to call the method mul, sv dot mul. So this is the method I'm calling, and I'm not passing any arguments here. If you see here, I'm not passing any arguments, I'm just calling the mul method from main variables class. So directly it will be called here. So inside that I declared a variable z. So here z is a local variable and x and y are instance variables. So now I assigned value 5 and 10 to the x and y. Now let us save this and let us compile the program again. So here I'm opening my command prompt again, java c testing scope.java. So now our program got compiled successfully. Now let us try to run the program. What is the class we need to run? Main variables.class. So we need not to give the extension java space main variables. Just press enter. So if you see here, it printed me 50. So here, so I assigned the values inside the main variables class using the instance. So sv is an instance for scope of variables class. So and also I'm calling sv.mul method. So inside the mul method I'm not expecting or accepting any arguments here. So directly I used x and y, but these x and y are declared inside the class but outside the method, but still these methods will be able to access these variables because the scope of these instance variables is the class. So the scope of the variables is, the scope of the instance variables is inside the class. So that is the reason I'm able to access those variables directly inside the mul method, and I'm just printing 5 into 10, which is the 50, directly here. So here z is a local variable because it is declared inside the mul method. So I'm just writing the same here, z is a local variable. But if you see here, x and y are instance variable because they are declared inside a class but outside a method. So for a better understanding, I'm writing a little beautification here. So here I'm saying multiplication of x and y is so for multiplication I have written like this. For addition I'm writing sum of a and b is, so to add any variable to the print statement we can just use a plus operator like this. So I've written both of these things. Now I'm uncommenting this line. So now let us try to create a class variable. So what we learnt is, so we can declare a class variable inside a class and outside a method with using a static keyword. So now let us try to create a class variable here. I'm declaring a class variable here, int p equals to 0, but we need to use the static keyword to make it as class variable or static variable. Static int p equals to 0. So how we can access this static variable outside a class? So for instance variable we will be using a instance, but for the class variable we need to use the class name directly. So inside the mul method I'm printing the class variable p also here, system dot out dot println. So I'm just printing class variable p val, or else we class variable value is, I'm just printing that variable here, p. So here I have written this print statement inside the mul method. So now let us try to assign the value to the class variable. So how we can assign the value to the class variable? Using the class name. So I'm assigning a value to the class variable before calling the mul method so that it gets reflected. So I'm assigning the value here, scope of variables, this is my class name, dot the variable name. What is the variable name here? P, equals to, I'm assigning 100 here. So I'm assigning value 100 to the class variable p. So I'm just saving this, and after that I'm calling my mul method, so which will also print me the class variable value. So now let us try to compile it again, and let us try to run it. So java c testing scope.java. Yeah, we missed out the semicolon at the end, so I just put a semicolon. So I'm compiling it again. So our program got compiled successfully. So now we need to run it. Java space main class. So main variable, this is my main class. I'm just pressing enter. So if you see here, it is also printed class variable value is 100. So if you see here, I assigned the value 100 to the variable p using a class name dot variable name equals to 100. So here p is a class variable which is declared inside a class and outside a method using a static keyword. So p is a class variable, or we can also call it a static variable. So now we were able to successfully finish the scope of variables program. Here I am opening a new notepad to write the second program. Window R, notepad, class. So I am giving my class name as multiple data types. So this is my class name. So I am opening my class and I am closing my class. Inside that I am writing my main method. Public static void main string args. Inside this main method I am going to declare the variables for all the data types, and I am just going to print them. So let us start with a boolean data type. So I am declaring a boolean variable here, boolean, and the name I am giving it as flag, and I am initializing this with false. So these are the two values we can assign for a boolean variables, false and true. So let us try to print this one. System dot out dot println for flag variable. So let us save this program. So I am going to save it under Java programs with the multiple. So I am going to give the same name, multiple data types dot Java. So I'm going to save this one. So let us try to compile this. I'm opening a command prompt here. So let me switch to D drive here. CD Cyber Pathshala Java program. So here we have our Java program. Let us try to compile this. Java C multiple data types dot Java. So our program got compiled successfully. Let us try to run this one. Java space multiple data types. So this is our class. So it printed the boolean value false. Let us try to declare a variable for char data type. So here I am writing char ch equals to, in the single quotes we need to give any value, like maybe I am giving capital A. So I am just going to print that. I'm just printing that char variable ch here. So I'm going to save it. So let me compile this again. So if you see that, it printed the character variable a. Now let us try to declare all the integral data types and print them. So here I'm going to declare a byte type, byte p. So if you just write byte p and then put a semicolon without any initialization, so we call it as declaring a variable. But if you assign some value to this, let's say byte p equals to 20, so this is called as initialization, because we are assigning the value 20 to the byte variable p. So this is called as initialization or defining the variable. So I'm just going to print the same thing here, system dot out dot println, and I'm just printing the variable byte variable p here. So I'm going to define my short variable also, short q equals to 30, and I'm just printing the same thing again, system dot out dot println, and then I'm printing q. So I'm also defining my int variable here, r, and I'm initializing with 40, and I'm just printing the same thing again, system dot out dot println r. I'm defining a long variable again, long s equals to 50, and I'm just printing the same thing again, system println, and I'm just printing the s. So let us save this program. So let us try to compile it again. javac multiple data types dot java. This is our program. So it got compiled successfully. So let me clear it for a better understanding. So I'm compiling it again, javac multiple data types dot java. I compiled it successfully. I'm running it again, java multiple data types. This is my class name. So this, if you press enter, it printed me all 20, 30, 40 and 50. Let's try to declare the variables for floating point data types. So I'm just going to declare a float variable here, float f equals to something 10.3 f. So I'm just going to print the same thing here, system dot out dot print ln, and I'm just printing the variable f. And also I'm just declaring one more double variable, which is also a floating point, double d equals to something 99.23. So and I'm just printing the same thing here also. So let us save this program again and let us compile and run it. javac multiple data types dot java. So my program got compiled successfully, and let us try to run this again. So it printed both f and double d, so 10.3 and 99.23. Now let us look at the casting. So here I'm converting my char ch variable from char type to int type. So for that I am using and declaring a new variable, int a. So this is my new int variable, and I'm assigning 0 to that. So now I'm trying to convert that char variable ch from char type to int type. So for that what I'm doing is I'm saying a equals to ch. So directly I'm assigning the variable ch, which is of character type. So I'm just directly assigning that to the variable a. So here I didn't specify anything explicitly, and I'm just printing the same thing here, system dot out dot print ln. So I'm just saving this program, and let me compile it again, and let me run it again. Java C multiple data types dot java. So my program got compiled successfully, and I'm again running that. Yeah, so it printed me. So if you see here, it printed me the first ch character, which is a, and the second one it printed me the integer value, the corresponding integer value for the character a. So here the 65 is called as ASCII code for the capital letter A. So in the same way we'll be having the ASCII codes for the all the characters, including the special characters. Here the char variable ch is automatically got converted into an int variable. So this is called as implicit conversion, and also call it as widening. So let us write the same thing here, just for our understanding. Implicit conversion. So now let us try to do an implicit conversion for two more variables. So I am converting my byte variable p from byte type to int type. So for that I am declaring one more variable, int b. I am assigning 0 to this. So I am saying b equals to p. So directly I am assigning, and I am just printing it. Print ln. So I'm just printing the variable b here, and I'm doing the same for int variable also here. So I wanted to convert my int variable from int type to long type. So for that I'm declaring one more variable, long c equals to 0. So I'm converting my I'm assigning c equals to r, and I'm just printing the same thing here. So let us save this. Let us compile and run this again. Java C multiple data types dot java, and I'm running the same thing here. So now if you see here, the 127 got printed the second time, and the 40 got printed second times. So this is called as implicit conversion. We are not explicitly specifying anything here. Now let us look at the explicit conversion. So for that I am using my short variable q. So I'm converting the short variable q from short data type to a char data type. So for that I'm declaring a new variable here, char something m. So this is my new char variable. So now let us try to assign it directly. So m equals to q. So I'm assigning directly from short data type to char data type. So let us see what the compiler says. I'm just saving it, and I'm also printing the same thing here, system dot out dot print ln, and I'm just printing the m here. I'm just saving it. Let us compile this program. Java C multiple data types dot java. So if you see here, it is giving me an error saying that incompatible types, possible loss of conversions from short to char. Now let us try to compile this program. Java C multiple data types dot java. So if you see here, it is giving me an error saying that incompatible types, because the q is of short type and m is of char type. So and it is also complaining that possible loss of conversion from short to char. So it means that it is indicating that if you are converting your variable from short to char data types, there may be a loss of information. So for that what we need to do, so we need to say the compiler saying that okay, I am okay to convert my short variable from short data type to char data type, and I'm okay with that. So if you say like that, for that we need to use an explicit conversion. So for that what I am doing is, so here before m, here I assigned m equals to q, right? Before assigning the q variable, so here I need to specify, okay, let me convert this variable q, which is of short type, to char type. So I am okay with that. So here we are explicitly specifying of char data type. So let us save this and compile this again. Java C multiple data types.java. So now the compiler accepted this, because so we explicitly specified to accept the conversion of from short data type to char data type. Java multiple data types. If you see here, it printed me a special character triangle kind of symbol under 30, means this is a corresponding character for the ASCII code 30. Now let us try to perform an explicit conversion for two more variables. So here I am converting my float variable f from float data type to int data type, and also the double variable d from double data type to float data type. So for that I am just declaring a new variable here, int h, maybe I can give int h equals to 0. So and I am assigning h equals to f. So here we need to explicitly specify, okay, I am converting my float variable f from float data type to int data type. So I am just saving it. So now let us print the h here. System.out.println h, and also I'm declaring one more float variable here, float I equals to 0.0f, and I'm converting my double variable from double type to float type here, I equals to d. So before that I'm just specifying the float conversion, I equals to, and then I'm just printing the same thing here, system.out.println, I'm just printing that I here. So let us save this and compile this program. Java C multiple data types dot Java. So it compiled successfully. Let us run this. So if you see here, after printing the float point 10.3, it printed me 10. So let us go and see here. So here it printed the float value 10.3 directly, but when you converted this float variable from float data type to int data type, so the decimal value, that whatever we have, that 0.3, which got removed because it converted into an integer type, so the decimal fractions will be removed. And also if you see here, my double value is 99.23. so let us see what it printed there. For 99.23 it printed the same thing, because in float 99.3 is allowed, so and it printed the same thing here, because it converted into an integer type, so the decimal fractions will be removed. And also if you see here, my double value is 99.23. so let us see what it printed there. For 99.23 it printed the same thing, because in float 99.3 is allowed, so and it printed the same thing here. If you directly come to this video, here we have the complete playlist. Please go through it. If you haven't liked this video yet, please click on the like button. If you feel this video is helpful, please share it with your friends and family members. If you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, please subscribe. Please click on the bell icon to receive all the notifications. Thank you.